Well, big announcement with Jake Hadley joining the PFL, and here he is today joining me on Home of Fight. Jake, how we doing, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. About like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks out from the fight now. So in the final preparations for the big fight. And I'm ready to go.
And April 11th, like you said, but I want to start there with joining PFL. When you are a free agent, why was PFL the spot? What was your deciding factor to join the promotion?
Yeah, well, I got numerous offers from numerous different promotions, but I like the that PFL. Basically, they have some of the best fighters in the world. Um, outside of the UFC, and even arguably some of the guys are even probably even better than some of the guys in the UFC. So um, I feel like I can establish myself as a number one fighter in the world, even without even being in the UFC. And it's they also probably the biggest promotion and probably the promotion with the biggest future ahead of them.
And are you looking at this at all like, a fresh start? Like, does this feel good to be joining a new promotion? Because it's been a while since you joined UFC in the first place. So, how does it feel to be joining PFL now?
Yeah, it feels great, man. Obviously, a new setting. Um, you know, different vibe, probably. Then again, I fought on Bellator before, but then
True.
um, I guess PFL is different to Bellator, so it's going to be a new experience for me. Which I've experienced many different shows. I fought on obviously Cage Warriors, was the champ there. EFC when it was big. EFC used to be a big promotion. Obviously, Dana White Contender Series, the UFC. I fought all around the world, so yeah, it's given me a new lease of life as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I look forward to it, and I look forward to experiencing it.
And it's been a while now since I've seen a story, a fresh story at least, of you and UFC ending and your contract coming to an end, them not re-signing you. So, is there like now this many months removed, like, or maybe ever, was there bad blood? Is there bad blood, or was it like a very sort of mutual split, even if you weren't loving it?
I mean, there's no real bad blood. I mean, I don't want to burn no bridges with anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I've always had good working relationship with every promotion I've been with. I fought on Bellator, and I went to Cage Warriors, and I went to UFC, and I didn't fall out with Bellator or Cage Warriors because I fought in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't want to burn any bridges with anyone, but um, everyone knows that from the beginning, I was probably not on the best side of everyone from the beginning when I first signed with the UFC, because obviously the matchmakers didn't want to sign me. I also went through a few things what people don't even know about. I probably can't really talk about it, but whatever, I'm gonna. The UFC cut me for 3 days for turning down a fight on short notice,
Did they
and then
really?
they re-signed me again. So you know, it probably weren't you know the best relationship ever, but you know I don't want to burn no bridges, and I don't want to badmouth no one. I had a good time in the UFC. I had some good fights in the UFC, some good experience, and I made some mistakes in there, which I've learned from. You know what I'm saying? Through doing things that might have upset them. But then I turned into probably too much of a company man and tried to do favors where then it backfired on me. So, you know, um, which, you can only look out for yourself, which is something I've learned. Um, but I mean, I take it all in my stride, you know what I'm saying? So, um, you know, I don't have no bad will towards the UFC. I grew up watching the UFC. My big dream when I was a child was to get in the UFC. So I don't, and I still watch every card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still a big fan. So I don't want to burn no bridges with no one, and I don't want to badmouth no one. But everyone knows already that there has been a few, fallings out with the UFC with me and whatever.
Well, I mean, dude, it's fighting, but it's also a business. So sometimes at the end of the day, people can just chalk it up to a business disagreement, and it happens very often with fighters all the time. And that's why promotions like PFL and all these other ones are here to make sure everybody has a place to go, so to speak. But are
Yeah.
are you are you allowed to tell me who the short notice was against?
Yeah, it was actually, well, obviously the fight's already been and gone. So the short notice one, what they cut me for originally, I was supposed to fight the guy who got beaten.
Which
You
guy that
know,
got beaten? What are you talking about?
the guy who bit the guy. Sorry, the guy who bit the guy in the UFC.
Oh, who bit him? Oh, I thought you said
Yeah,
beaten. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that guy, that actual fight, that fight where that guy bit that other guy.
Hmm.
I was supposed to fight that fight, and it was on short notice. And basically the UFC already knew I had a bit of struggles making weight as it was, so they offered me the fight. I was iffing and ahhing about taking it, and then in the end, I was like, "Oh, listen, you already know, I'm struggling with weight cut." I just had a DEXA scan at the UFC. Funny enough, about a month or two before they offered me the fight, and I was like, I don't know why they're offering me this fight if they've already seen my DEXA scan, or should have seen my DEXA scan, which was saying I was way too big for flyweight, basically. Um that I'd basically die making the weight. So I'm like, I don't know how they can offer me this fight on short notice, but they did. And then when I turned it down, it come into big problems and whatever. I got cut for a couple of days, got back in. But
Crazy.
I don't hold nothing against them. Whatever, it's a
Sure.
business in it. Um, whatever. I mean, I would have killed that geezer even on the short notice.
And were you supposed to fight Andre Lima or the guy that bit him, Igor Severino?
Igor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to fight
You
Igor.
don't
Yeah.
think he was gonna bite you in there? No.
He probably would have bit me, which would have been an easy win and an extra 50 grand. So I probably should have jumped in there and took it.
Hey, hindsight's 2020, man.
Yeah.
But let's talk PFL now, man, because the future's exciting. I love PFL. The format, especially like the season, I think is great. I think the changes they made is great with the elbows, no more points. So, how do you feel about having an actual season compared to just whenever the hell a fight's going to come up?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to keep me really active. Obviously, like I think it's like 3 fights in like 5 or 6 months. So I like that it's like old school, like as in you know you win and you carry on, or if you lose, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
like I like that. I like that format. I think everyone in especially my division is very top high level. To be honest, I don't think there's one bad fighter in the bracket. So I also last year I did 3 fights in 5 months as well. So it's something I'm used to anyway, fighting active like that. Uh, Especially with me moving up in weight, I think it suits me better than maybe some of the other guys who may be a bit bigger at the weight and have to cut 3 times to that weight in 5 or 6 months. I think that's going to kill some of them. Whereas I find it's going to be a bit more easier for me than them. So I feel like it suits me better than some of the guys in the tournament.
And was it always tournament, or were you maybe debating? Did they come to you with like the big one-off fights, or like tournament? I'm all in.
Well, they come to me with the tournament. I'd actually sign the tournament, and then they come to me with another offer. But it was the main guy who runs Bellator was like, "Oh, it's too late. He's already signed on to the tournament," because they actually offered me McGrillen
Ooh, okay.
um um to main event a card, but the the boss, he was like, "I was too late. No, he's already signed on to the tournament." Um, so I was already in the tournament, but that's obviously something maybe in the future we could look at.
Sure. Well, I mean, the tournament too. You don't even need to look past it because at the end, you either get pardon my French, but a shitload of money or a beautiful shiny belt. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna make you pick one. Obviously, they go hand in hand, but which one to you would be more important, either to your ego, your legacy, your bank account, the money, or the belt?
Well, I mean, you got to go with the money, innit? That's what we are with prize fighters at the end of the day. I mean, a nice shiny belt. You get the money and the belt, so to me, it's a double whammy. You know what I mean? Money and the belt. 'Cause it all comes in one. We're winning the tournament, so obviously the money's going to look better than a belt. But then again, a belt lasts forever, innit? Like, it's something you can show the grandkids and stuff like that. Money comes and goes, but at the end of the day, it's about feeding my kids and that. You know what I mean?
And tell me about this fight, man. You got Savar. He's
Yeah.
undefeated. You're coming from the UFC. Like, which wins out there? The experience or the undefeated ego he probably has?
I mean, obviously he's a top guy, who a lot of people probably don't know of. I've actually watched him fight multiple times live, and I didn't even remember that I'd watched him multiple times
Oh
live,
yeah.
based on the fact that he's so boring that
He's got a style. He's gonna grab your legs.
he's so boring that I couldn't even remember watching him fight live. And then when I watched his fights back, I was like, I definitely watched his fights live because he's fought on the same card as my teammates Fabian and Tim Wild multiple times. So I've definitely watched these fights, but he's that boring that I couldn't even remember watching him. But that's not to say he's not a top fighter. He's definitely a top fighter, and I can understand why, maybe he's at 16-0. Because at first I was like, this guy's 16-0. He's never fought on contenders. You know, he's never been in the UFC or whatever. And I can understand why, because he's boring as hell. No one wants to watch this geezer fight, but he's definitely a top level guy. Yeah, but like you say, he's probably his first 8 opponents was tin cans. You know, but then again, his last 8 opponents have been pretty good. Has he fought anyone um, like I fought? I don't think so. I mean, I've been fighting top 15 opponents. So his 16-0 record might look better than my 11-4 record, but I fought a lot of top guys. I've got a lot of experience. I've had a lot of hard fights. Which he's had a lot of decisions, but how many hard fights he has, I don't know. He's been gassed in a lot of fights, but how many times has he been dropped or had a cut or been smashed up? I don't know, and had to come back and dig deep. But he's gonna have to in this fight, so we'll see on the night.
And then, like, are you looking at this, like you said, a lot of people call it boring, that wrestling cage style, certainly not the most exciting. So are you looking at this like, I can't let him get to the cage, I can't let him take me down, or do you not care because you just think you're better there anyways?
Obviously, I ain't gonna let any man do what they want to me. You know what I mean? If he wants to grab a hold of me and keep up my hold against the fence, I ain't gonna let him do that. You know what I mean? So obviously, I'm gonna be, if he gets me on the ground, I'm gonna obviously be trying to get back up to my feet, so sweep him or submit him. Blend all three together. So, and when we're on the feet, I'm gonna be trying to knock him out. Also, taking him down to the ground and caving his head through the floor. So it's mixed martial arts at the end of the day, and I ain't gonna let any man do what they want, what he wants to do to me. I ain't gonna let him do it. You know what I mean? It's not like, obviously everyone knows I can fight from every aspect of the game. Really, I've got knockouts on my feet. I've got submissions on top. I've got submissions off my back. I can fight in every aspect of the game. Obviously, I don't want no man lying on top of me, so I'm going to be trying to get up. I'm going to be trying to submit. I'm going to be trying to sweep. Um, you know, but I can fight everywhere.
I got a few questions left here. Today, some big news came out that PFL signed Taylor Lapilus after UFC removed him. You guys are both bantamweight now. I don't think he's in the tournament, or I don't think he's getting maybe a replacement, but is that a fight you'd be interested in someday?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I was actually on the phone earlier to my dad about it because obviously we got a similar opponent in Blockhead, uh, and I thought that his fight against Blockhead was real close, and he was taking him down a lot and beating him down on the ground. And I thought he was very passive, but I don't know why the UFC got rid of him in the beginning. I mean, it is funny with him because he got cut from the UFC before, and nobody knew why he got cut because he was on a win streak. And now I believe he was on a win streak again. I don't know if he might have been coming off one loss, but
two wins in a row, coming off one loss.
Yeah, and now he's gone again. I don't understand it, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Has he upset the matchmakers? Has he upset someone? I don't know what he said, or is he turning down fights? I don't know what he's done, or maybe it's a visa problem. I don't really know, or maybe he just wants to move on. It feels like PFL would treat him better. I don't really know, but I mean, I feel like that's definitely a good fight in the future, which could happen in France or England or whatever. And I'm happy to actually see him come over to the PFL. I'm happy to see him come over. So, I wonder what matchup they're going to give him. What matchup do you think they're going to give him for the first one?
I don't know what they'll do. They're because what big bantamweights aren't in the tournament? You're going to have to look.
What
there.
About him versus McGrillen?
That'd be a good one.
I think that sounds like a good fight too, because they're going to want to put him in main events now. I think
they're going to have to.
Sounds like a good fight to me, because obviously, who else really is there in Europe at the minute who's with PFL? You know what I mean? I think that's a good fight that they could put together.
Hey, if they announce it, I'll be DMing you saying Mystic Hadley out here. Another fight that I don't even think is very relevant right now, obviously, but the fans love it. Yeah, they love talking about it. Does you and Muhammad Mokaev happen someday outside of the UFC somehow?
To be honest, I don't think he'll ever fight me. He gives it the good talk and that. But I mean, he was talking about something about he'll come to PFL on a one fight and fight me and this and that. And I said the PFL don't even want you, mate. But if the PFL would sign him to a fight, that'd be amazing. And I think it'd a sellout. You know what I'm saying? It'd sell 100%. Out. It'd be a big fight that would. So maybe they could get him here on a one fight. Because he says he only wants to come on a one fight. So let's see if we can get him in on a one fight then, and we can do that fight, no problem about it. You'd obviously have to come up to this weight though. You can't. PFL don't have a flyweight division, so you'd have to come up to this weight. But I mean, he's a guy who cuts a lot of weight anyway, so I think it'd be a good fight to make.
Take my money, man. That's one of the best flyweight, or I guess you're saying now bantamweight fights to make in the world. So I hope that can get done someday, and that you guys will put on a show. I know that much. But my last set of questions here, Jake. I saw you tweeting last week during UFC. You're talking about Blockhead, obviously. And so I know you were watching. My overall question is, did that card feel off? Did it feel a little not like a UFC London?
I mean, to be honest, I only was able to catch the prelims because I had to go to the gym. I was actually pushing my training back whilst I was watching the prelims, because obviously I've got a lot of friends on the card and a lot of people I know. So, and I wanted to watch I keep calling him Blockhead. I don't mean it as disrespect, but I can't.
He's got a big head, man.
I can't really say his name. I can't really say his name. So
Colin Lograin, I think.
Yeah. So I just call him the Block. But anyway, I was wanted to watch his fight versus Fletcher.
Yep.
The card did feel off. I mean, everyone was like, but some of the fights was all right. But then again, I mean, like the UFC is say they're the top promotion in the world, which they arguably are, yeah. But they ain't got the best bantamweight in the UK on their roster because he's here. Because I mean, I punched his head off and he punched Fletcher's head off, so the main man's here, isn't he? So that's all I got to say about that. I ain't obviously not bitter or anything. I just say watching it and I can see, you know what I mean. They're nowhere near my level. Obviously I was upset about Leon and whatever, but there's some underdog wins there with Vachenik losing and that. I think Kavanagh looked good.
Yeah.
Kavanagh shocked me because I didn't really believe that Kavanagh even deserved a contract in the beginning, because he was a guy who hadn't even won the Cage Warriors title yet and got him. But to be honest, he looked probably the best on the card.
He looked good.
And I feel sorry for Dos Santos because he's like 1-3 in the UFC now, and he's actually quite good. So that just shows how good flyweights are. Yeah, but overall, a bit of a lackluster card, but that it happens time to time.
I think a big issue is obviously the stars. There's no stars on the card. Patty wasn't on. Tom Aspinall wasn't on. Molly McCann was probably the biggest UK name on the card, maybe. But my last question, just talking about UK, you're the man to know. Do you think Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones ever happens?
I think it probably has to happen. I don't even know if I don't feel like Jon Jones has to fight him. Like, in my opinion, I know a lot of people are saying that he has to, but he's the GOAT, and he's risking it against Aspinall, who's young, and Jones is probably past his best, so he's taking a risk here. And if he beats Aspinall, I think it solidifies him. I don't think no one's ever going to top him as the greatest of all time. I think Jones should just get out of the game and not even risk his his undefeated record or whatever. I think he should just get out of the game now. He's done enough.
Ride into the sunset, right?
Ride into the sunset. I think he's done enough. Obviously, it'd be nice to see Aspinall win and an English guy beat the greatest fighter of all time. But you're asking as a fan of Jon Jones, I think he should just get out of it. Because he's taking a risk now here. Because Aspinall can grapple as well. He's going to be an hard guy to take down. He's going to be an hard guy to do, grapple with on the ground. So he's probably the guy to beat Jon Jones if there is a guy, because he's bigger than him. Aspinall's still got his speed for an heavyweight, and he's still got his reflexes, and he's agile. He's like a young, like he's like kind of like when Tyson was in his youth, he was fast and fast and explosive because he was youthful. You know what I mean? And Aspinall's got that sort of. Obviously, you don't have that style of the head movement or whatever, but he's got that youth fast, and he's probably quicker than Jon Jones, even though Jon Jones is a natural light heavyweight.
Right now, at least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jon Jones has never been known as a fast guy. I think he's taking a risk, unnecessary risk that they don't need to. He said he only wanted to fight Stipe and then go off, but he's almost forced into this fight now. So, I don't know. But best of luck to both.
I love it, man. And Jake, before I get you out of here, anything you'd like to say? I know there's a lot of fans across the world who have been dying to hear from you.
I just want to say thank you for the continued support. I want to say thank you to PFL for the opportunity. Obviously, it's a big opportunity. The first ever PFL bantamweight world tournament. They've never done a bantamweight world tournament. So this is going to be. I'm going to be the first PFL bantamweight world champion. So it's history at the end of the day. Looking back when I'm an old man, looking back, this is amazing achievement. You know what I mean, to even be part of the tournament. When I win it, it's going to be even bigger. So I thank you for the opportunity. There's no love lost between me and the UFC. Thank you to everything the UFC done for me. Thank you to every promotion what they've ever done for me. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to the future.
My man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, April 11th, it kicks off. Jake Hadley in the PFL. Do not miss it. Jake, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. Nice one.